Yep.
Good. So I'm doing the Devar. Evan, do you want to open?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
All right, let's do it. Shabbat Shalom, friends. It's nice to see you virtually. We're here. We're thinking about all of you. We wish we were with you in person at Makom in our sanctuary. But in truth, we're together still. We're together apart. I heard a great phrase. We're in this together apart. So we may not be physically next to each other, but we're in the Shabbat spirit together, supporting one another, lifting one another up. And this is not just a regular Shabbat. This is Shabbat during Passover, during Pesach. And so we hope you had a wonderful Seder, wonderful service, and we're still in that Passover frame of mind and appreciating the freedoms that we have and looking forward to future freedoms. And it's just wonderful to be together as your clergy team, everyone healthy, thank God, and here for you at all moments. And given the beautiful weather we have outside, given the beautiful spirit that we're entering into on this Shabbat, we're going to sing Ma Yafeh Hayom, how beautiful this day is, Ma Yafeh Hayom.
Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom.
It's a pleasure to be with all of you again this Shabbat. I heard it said, united we stand, divided. So we're all in our different places, but we're all together, we're all one. And so we turn to the melody, the song, the prayer that is the central prayer of our tradition that reminds us of God's oneness, but our oneness with God, that we're all connected wherever we are. We sing Shema together.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malechuto Leolam Vaed.
Isn't it amazing how powerful the Passover story is? That story of liberation, of Exodus from Egypt, that this story has been told for thousands of years over and over again. And it's a story, obviously, that not only shaped the Jewish people, but has shaped every nation, every group, every human heart that yearns for freedom. And we celebrate, we remember that Exodus at every worship service when we sing the Mi Chamocha. So let's all sing it together with our greatest Passover spirit, Mi Chamocha.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha ne'edar b'kodesh, nora tehilo dosehi vele, nora tehilo dosehi vele. שירה חדשה שיבחו גאונים לשיטה שפת הים יחד כולם הודו והניחו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם מועד אדוני ימלוך לעולם מועד.
We'll take a few moments. You can say the words of tefillah if you like, or whatever other prayers your heart prompts. And certainly feel free to put us on pause and take as much time as you need for your own private prayers and meditation, and even just to maybe get in touch with your own breathing and feel comfortable in the moment. We pause for a moment of private prayer.
Are people on besides the three of you?
Oh, we're recording.
Now we turn to a prayer for peace. The words Oseh Shalom. We traditionally pray for peace aleinu, upon us, ve'al kol Yisrael, and all of Israel. And recently we've added these words ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, which means that we pray for peace for all who inhabit the earth. And a shout out to one of our congregants, Laura Frisch, who is proudly displaying the color green on her door and in her windows. Green, a symbol for all of the cultures and religions that stand united in this prayer for peace. Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom b'mroma, uyaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom, shalom b'mroma, uyaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom, shalom b'mroma, uyaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imeru amen.
Well, health and sickness are on our mind a lot lately, so it's not hard to pray for healing. And I'm thinking about the Misha Berach. You know, the Misha Berach is as much a prayer for us who are praying for those in need of healing as it is a prayer for those who we pray for when we say their names. And thinking right now, you know, we talk to a lot of people, our clergy, and a lot of people are ill in body and mind and spirit, understandably. We're living in, even those of us blessed to have wonderful homes and good jobs and not have many of the worries that so many in our country face, we still also struggle, all of us, with being quarantined, with being anxious, with being uncertain about what comes next. And so let's think about this prayer of healing, keeping in mind those who are truly ill in body, in mind, in spirit, who are in the hospital. We probably all know people who've been sick with COVID-19, but all of those who are sick in body, mind, but also for each of us to comfort ourselves, to help us get through these difficult times. And to me, and I hope to all of us, this community, this sacred spiritual home is part of that healing, is part of that comfort. And so together, let's sing the words of the Mishaberach.
Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Well, it's very special to be together on this Shabbat that comes during the festival of Pesach. And I have to say that before the Seder this past Wednesday, I was feeling a bit anxious, not accustomed for me to be anxious before the Passover Seder. I've been leading a family Seder for a long, long time now, but some anxiety about the technology, right? Being able to use Zoom properly, and anxiety about not knowing who was going to be gathered around our Pesach table, I think. And then the Seder began, and we had about 50 people by Zoom, and a very interesting and mixed group, including, a friend of mine from the time I was in kindergarten, my sister, who of course has known me my entire life, and other family members scattered around the country, and a lot of members of our community, Makom, Solel, Lakeside, joined around the table. So looking back after the Seder, it was really one of the most joyous experiences that we could possibly have had. I'm sure a lot of other people were feeling some anxiety about not being able to do what they usually do at Pesach and having to do something completely different. And so I hope that others are having a similar experience to mine of having this feeling of, well, that worked out pretty well. And that maybe even in future years when people can again be gathered around the table, we may still have some kind of a Zoom link so that people who are far away can still be a part of what we're doing. And it's also special to be able to celebrate this Shabbat in Pesach because we actually get to turn away from the book of Leviticus for a week. So after a couple of weeks of talking about nothing but sacrifice, our Torah reading for Pesach goes back into the book of Exodus. And it has this remarkable story, is the Shabbat reading for Pesach, where Moses asks to see God's face. And Moses says, no one can see my face and live, but this is what I'll do. I'll put you in this cleft of the rock, and I'll make all my goodness pass before you, and then you can see my back. And I've always found that very striking. I've used it in a lot of different places in a lot of different ways. But one of the things that it seems to suggest is that it's very difficult to see God coming towards you. It's easy to see God when God has passed by. And so that actually relates to that anxiety over the Passover Seder. Right? It was hard to imagine God's presence coming toward me as I was preparing for Seder on Wednesday. But after it was over, I could tell that God had been with us, that God was there and a part of our celebration on Wednesday evening. And so that's kind of the meaning of this text, and it can be used in so many different ways in our lives. There are so many times when we can look back on an experience and we see how God was present in that moment. It can be a time of joy. It can be a time of sadness. It can be a decision that we've made in our lifetime to go in one direction rather than another. And only in retrospect can we go back and say, well, surely God was there. Just like Jacob says when he wakes from his dream and says, surely God was in this place and I didn't realize it. And so that's our hope in these moments as we are in our own homes, sheltering with family and in some cases alone, that we will see God's back. And the other part of this story that's so intriguing to me is that it suggests that none of us can see the entirety of God. We only see a part of God. And so as we are in our separate places, each of us is seeing our own and having our own experience of God's presence. And when we get back together in person, we will know that much more about God when we're able to share our ideas of God together. So we hope that, as we said at the end of the Seder, next year in Jerusalem, but we also said next year in person. Next year, may we be together to celebrate Pesach and celebrate Shabbat in one room, sharing our own visions of a diverse God, a God for all humanity. May this be God's will. Amen.
Amen.
We'll turn to the words of Kaddish as well. So we're thinking of so many people who've died in recent days and weeks. We're thinking of all those that we take into our hearts with our own, those whose yahrzeits come in this week, those whose names we know and those whose names we don't know. We pray for a coming time of God's peace with the words of Kaddish Yatom. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agalau v'zman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam olmeh olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'tadar v'tale v'talal shmei dekudesha brichu. Leila min kol berchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran bi'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlomo rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom b'mromal. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'imru. Amen.
Well, I kind of missed our announcements, so I'll make a couple of announcements. We, of course, will have Torah study tomorrow morning, 9:15 by Zoom. You've got the link. And more stuff coming this week. Got our regular class, Modern Jewish Thought on Monday, 2:00. We've got a Yisker service Wednesday. We've got music and meditation. You've got the calendar. You've got the schedule. So
The Kabbalah class on Tuesday and
is that at
Havdalah on Saturday night.
Havdalah? Yeah. What time is the Kabbalah class?
That's at noon on Tuesdays.
Noon on Tuesdays. Of course, Havdalah tomorrow night. So we're here. We're in this together. And I hope to see many of you in as many of those programs as you can make. And wishing everyone a healthy and happy rest of Passover. And Cantor, do we have a closing song?
Well, how about good old Adon Olam?
Sounds good.
If you can find the words online, let's all sing together. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yetzir Nira Veit nasa befeso kol azai melo Shemo nikra Achare kiklotako Vemano yemnoch nora Vehu ayo Vehu ove Vehu yile Vetifara Vehu echad Vein sheni Vehameshir lo neach bina Beli reshit, beli tachnit, belo haus, behamisra, behu eli, vechai goali, betzurachem li neitzora, behu nisi umanos li, menatosi, beyom nekra, Eyado achiruchi beiti shon me'aira beimruchi geviati Adonai velo ira.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom. Good to be with you.
See you soon.